Good morning, folks. This is Catherine here. I'm going to look at this battery charger, and I just mention first of all we need to be aware of health and safety. It is unplugged from the mains, so we know it's dead. They don't have capacitors in them. We've got the Samoan safety boots happening here in Christchurch in the summer. Now this is actually my highest capacity battery charger. It's a so-called 10 amp charger, 10 amps RMS, so really it's about 7. I've actually fixed this one up in the past. I got it broken and in pieces and defective, and I fixed it. And I fixed it up somewhere 20-25 years ago. And I see I've actually made some notes here. So never underestimate the importance of a black felt tip pen. Note, this top, wiggle to remove, do not undo bottom screws. Fuse inside. The handle was broken. They used to have a handle on these. A friend actually bought a couple of these. He was using them to run a lighting display for a shop. And after a period of time they broke down. I think by that time they'd stopped being used in the shop and were used at home occasionally. And they always had a real cheap, crappy amp meter in them. The indication, it is actually one of the few that does 6 volts. Very few do 6 volts now. You can set them to 6 volts. And it had a little thin rectangular amp meter here. And that was all got loose and broken. But the wire coil behind it, it was actually external to the amp meter, which was unusual. And I left that in place. But it stopped having a useful amp meter. So after that, the display for whether it was charging or not was you plug it in, put one of the terminals on the battery and just spark the others. If it's sparking, you're getting some current. Clip them on, it's working. So that worked for many years as required. When I did fix it, I think it had a thermic interrupter in it, perhaps not a fuse, but that was burnt out, and what they often used to burn out. So let's take it at its word. Let's wiggle it to remove. We've got the box of mini tools here. Oh, and that was the other thing. So it's been without an amp meter for a long time. And I went to, at one of the times I was in Australia, I went to Dick Smith and I saw these lovely amp meters. And they were a bit pricey for what they were, and I thought that it wouldn't fit in it as it is, but it might be able to be modified to fit. And that's why I've had a bit of a hack job here. And I hacked and I hacked, and I don't even think I had a file. I think I was scraping at it with a knife blade. And anyway, I came back to New Zealand. I couldn't get the amp meter at all. I couldn't buy one here. And on a later trip to Australia, I got the holy grail. Yeah, and of course Dick Smith they've gone bust now some years ago. An 0 to 10 amps amp meter. So this being a so-called 10 amp charger will never quite get to the 10 anyway. But this would give a nice clear indication, being you're generally in the range of sort of 2 to 8. And it's brand new, comes with some little screws. And I was actually just looking for something in the garage the other day, and I found not only this charger but the amp meter. So I thought maybe I'll have another go at fitting it, because in the meantime someone was having a clear out and I got a selection of files. So they're a little bit old, but I thought maybe with a file I can have a better go at getting it to fit this slot. Now just wiggle this, as it says, wiggle to remove, do not remove the bottom screws. So there's 3 screws in the bottom, 1 on one side, 2 on the other. Yeah, originally this these screw holes, 4 screw holes, secured the 2 halves together. But for whatever reason, that had to be changed during one of my previous repairs to this. I'll get the just something to help it start. But it's been handy in the past. As I say, this was my most high-powered charger. In Australia, I had old cars, and sometimes they wouldn't start often they wouldn't start on a winter morning. Or instead of straining them, and maybe they'd start, maybe they wouldn't, just go out at breakfast time, put the charger on it for a few minutes, come out and just top that battery up a wee bit. The instructions on the tip definitely say wiggle to remove, so I shouldn't need to do anything other than that. There we go. So yeah, even if it's 20 or 25 years ago, leave a note for yourself. So this has, and actually something I just noticed a moment ago, just when I was checking this out, it's made by LEP, Perei Auto Devices NZ of Hamilton, which is the North Island, New Zealand. And these were actually sold in Perth, Western Australia. So they weren't the cheapest one around. And I've got, in case somebody stole it, there's something in there with my name on it that could be traced by the police and find its way back to me. Because how many burglars pull apart the battery charger and look for something with your name on it? Now let's try to get a little bit more light on it. How long is the cable on this one? Not quite long enough. Let's try to stretch it out a bit. Okay, now we can see what we've got here, and I'm 99% sure this is a replacement that I've put in. These used to have a selenium rectifier. It was a thing that looked like a bolt with several little flat plates on it, with like a bolt going through the middle. And that was what was found in most sort of home car battery chargers. And they did used to burn out. That seemed to be a weak point. I can see I've got a normal car type fuse carrier there, and as I say, I think it had a thermic interrupter, which is sort of like a fuse that goes off but then it resets after, 5 minutes or half an hour or whatever. And I got a feeling that was open, as in burnt out in the not working position. So yeah, I used to be able to get these at Dick Smith or Tandy. It is fixed to something. But so I may have replaced that one, or may not. It may have been, there's several other battery chargers I've replaced or repaired over the years, and I've had to replace those. And this is the wire coil, by the look of it, that used to sit around the back of the amp meter. There was actually a little extension came out the back of the amp meter, and this thing just pushed on it. Just, if I tip that up, that just used to sit there on the back of the amp meter, and that coil of wire there, just hidden by the masking tape there, just made the amp meter work. So really, I just need to, so that's why the amp meter, it doesn't matter that the amp meter is not working, it still puts out the full amount of power. So what I just need to do is, using my little box of tricks here, my toolbox, where's my, I'll probably get to give these an outing. And I've got a range of different, not sure what we've got here. I've got different ones and different bottles and jars here. So I'll try to get, I'm not sure if I've got the ones with like a little circle on the end. And then what we'll do, the theory is, if I can crimp on a little terminal with a little circle with the, and do that with the amp meter. They come with a few screws. Yes, I need a circular gap. And as I say, I was scratching this out with an old knife blade. I couldn't quite, oh there you go, I got that to just barely fit. I still need to get a bit more out of this. And I never quite got that to, right, making a liar of me. That's now fitting. Yeah, I can't get the nuts on properly to secure it at the back. There's a raised boss here. I may be able to file a bit of that away, because even if I just got two diagonal nuts on it just to stop it falling out. And then this bit, I'm wondering I may have to take out those two bottom screws and take off this front face here. when I first put those wires on the amp meter, what I will need to do, because I don't know which way round it's going to want to swing, I'm not sure if there's an indication here about plus or minus. So what I would then do is connect this up with just a small light bulb, just so that when I plug it in I could get a little kick on the amp meter and see which way it was going, and if it was, so it wouldn't damage it if it was kicking in reverse. If it was kicking in reverse, then I just swap those two leads around. So I might have another go. I see that, making a liar of me, I have got it to just fit in there, but I think I had an issue therefore that I had trouble getting enough access to these wires to, I didn't want to, see there's a lot of rust on that, you can see a bit of surface rust on that transformer there, so I want to get these wires here. And hang on, yes, that's a bit of an old scummy looking wire there. Now there, by the look of it, I'll point it out with the screwdriver, that might be a thermic interrupter. So it's like a fuse of last resort, but it should turn back on again after it cools down. So I need to put this wire, I could make up a longer one. If I take that one off, just get that started. I used to buy these with comparatively cheap, and they're a silicon rectifier thing. They're all cast in a solid block of epoxy type stuff, and even they were quite cheap even back then, and they were rated at about 25 or 35 amps or 20 amps or whatever, far in excess of what the charger requires. And I've bought a few of them over the years. Generally the chargers were more like about a 3 or 4 amp capacity, but yeah, their selenium rectifiers used to just burn out quite regularly, and I ended up buying those, and I've actually got given some the other day, second-hand ones, but they were waste product from a factory, from Prototype things or something. Yeah, I think I don't think I need to pull that whole front off. I could do with a bit more on that wire. And I'm going to actually have a go at fixing this, and then I'll get back to you and make up a second video. So there we go. Wouldn't it be nice if that gets to fit in there properly and work after all? Okay folks, that's all for now. Cheers.